So, folks, we gotta talk about No King's Day. I got out there today, put on the uniform of Revolution, which, as we all know, is an inflatable costume of some kind. I myself chose to emulate the Portland Frog and brought that energy here in the Twin Cities area, and it was really delightful. You know, people from all walks of life. There were children, there were babies, there were dogs, there were adults, there were elderly people. I took so many photographs with folks. People just wanted to take pictures with a silly inflatable or dance or like get high fives. It was interesting, right? I'm not a terribly social person in that way, but I put myself out there, and it was fun. It was interesting, and I gotta say, there's a video somewhere of me dancing with like maybe like a 3 or 4 year old girl who is just absolutely delighted to be dancing with a giant frog, and it's a lot of people I think have been wondering about like the inflatable costume thing, and I think it's genuinely a great way to engage with protest. It makes it less scary, it makes it silly, it makes the events more approachable. And honestly, it undermines attempts by the regime to label the protests as these violent, horrid affairs full of terrorists. And you might be thinking, "What? But Jack, they would never just do that, would they? They would never just say that." Every one of their political adversaries is like a Hamas-loving terrorist, would they?
Proved that the Democrat Party's main constituency are made up of Hamas terrorists, illegal aliens, and violent criminals. That is who the Democrat Party is catering to, not the Trump administration and not the White House and not the Republican Party, who is standing up for law-abiding Americans, not just across the country, but around the world.
Oh, that's so bizarre. All right, that's the White House press secretary. Trying to label all protesters as Hamas-loving terrorists, and I guess a packed street in Missoula is look at all of these Hamas-loving terrorists and undocumented immigrants and violent criminals. Look at all of them. It's crazy. It's crazy how many people have been able to organize despite being incredibly violent criminals. Apparently, Washington, D.C. was invaded by a bunch of terrorist-loving violent criminals today. Let's take a look. Oh, they did, Nathan. As I'm watching this, I can't help but notice that, like, for a bunch of terrorist-loving, violent criminals, they don't seem to be like attacking each other or anything. This actually seems like a pretty orderly and chill demonstration here in Washington D.C. But maybe that's because Donald Trump has restored order with then all the National Guardsmen's everywhere. Maybe that's why. Let's check in with New York City. Wretched hive of scum and villainy, according to the administration. Let's take a look. Huh. Weird. It's almost like people are just like milling about down there. They're not. Oh, why can't we hear all the gunfire and the screams of the wounded? It's I thought these were violent terrorist-loving criminals. Oh yeah. Brecco might be correct. Maybe Antifa has hired a bunch of newbies and they haven't been trained in the art of how to be violent and terrorist-loving. Maybe that's just not the case. Here, let's take a closer look at the ground in New York City. Maybe we're just not seeing it up close and personal. Let's take a look. Well, this can't possibly be right. They're just chanting. They're chanting and holding signs. As I mean, as violent terrorist lovers do. Just a bunch of violent terrorism loving people who are probably also going to go see Mamma Mia, as the violent terrorists do. Terrorists are very famous for their love of musical theater. So, Jack, they're making me feel scared. Please stop. Well, look. Okay, look. I know it's really intimidating to see. But let's take a look at North Carolina. All right, North Carolina, like, obviously, hotbed of terrorism and violent crime.
Saturday today. But again, this is a live look back here at home. A live look at First Ward Park. We heard from several speakers, and after those speeches wrapped up, there was a song as folks got ready to hit the streets to march. Any moment now, we are expecting folks to march there through uptown, 1.1 miles, then back. And look, folks. And these are not just, although we are expecting more people across the country, so a lot of these folks were at the first No Kings protests.
You all, okay, so, we're, I mean, obviously the proper way for a reporter to report live on violent criminals and terrorists organizing within the community is, very matter of fact and not at all fussed tone, because that's professionalism right there. He's keeping it together, okay? He's just keeping it together. He's holding down all of the fear and adrenaline. All right, that is training right there. Okay, that's training. Let's let's take a look here. Well, okay, Alabama. Alabama, clearly Alabama, hotbed of terrorism and violent crime. Here's Huntsville. Say, whoa. Back it up. Look at this. We have our first violent terrorist caught on camera, with a corpse strapped to their back, because these people are sick. They're sick puppies. Okay, they're just violent terrorists. The main constituents of the Democratic Party, violent terrorists, and it appears that the skeleton is holding a sign that says, "This administration is killing me." So we're okay. Maybe there's not much to that claim either. Let's okay. Well, let's take a look here. Let's take a look at a drive-through of, again, Huntsville, Alabama. Let's see if we can catch more of these violent terrorists. Huntsville, Alabama. Wait a minute. Back it up. Enhance. We have a weaponized Tyrannosaurus Rex. That's right. These terrorists are, in fact, very well funded, and they are. We're getting reports that, for any of you who have seen the documentary Jurassic World 3, they have been weaponized for military purposes. We are seeing one now deployed in the field, and a terrifying prospect, of course. And look, we have a giant bee, everyone. The genetic engineering that allowed for the creation of dinosaurs in the modern era and their weaponization has allowed them to create a genetically engineered human-sized bee. And now these human-sized bees have proportionally sized stingers. So, of course, they can absolutely be very deadly in a pinch. This, of course, looks to be like some kind of honeybee type creature, and obviously it only gets one sting and then it dies. It also looks pretty happy. Clearly because it has just seen perhaps another bee sting a hapless civilian and is happy at the carnage. Wait a minute. Back it up. Enhance. All right. Did we? Aha. Where is he? There he is. Look at that. These sick terrorist fucks have deployed a literal monster to the field. They say he's a cookie monster, but who's to say he's gonna stop at cookies? He can eat cookies. He looks big enough to eat a whole man. A whole human man. All right? These terrorists are devious. They're getting all the way into Alabama. The infiltration is on another level. They have somehow deployed monsters in the middle of Huntsville, Alabama. That's right, folks. You're hearing this first here live on Riverboat Jack. See, you can see at the end there several more dinosaurs deployed to the field. Clearly just seconds away from ripping apart hapless individuals in the vicinity. I can't take all the carnage. I know. It takes a strong stomach to look at all of this suffering. But obviously, let's take a look at Long Island, New York, epicenter of much destruction.
Strong and weak rhetoric leads to the House Speaker calling a naked bike ride the most terrifying thing I've seen.
Ironically, it makes them look incredibly weak. Also, as we all know, music can be played at a volume that is harmful for human ears. And look, you can see one man here, his ears clearly bursting. It's an unseen amount of damage is clearly occurring here. Long Island, that's like the Hitlerville of New York. Yeah, people turned out literally everywhere. Literally everywhere in this country, people were turning out. Yeah, he may be dead already. I've seen movies before where people's ears, their eardrum bursts and blood runs out, and maybe he almost died as a result. Obviously, we also have a number of quite scary individuals turning up here. Here is a picture from Richmond, Virginia. We have a lot of different people turning up here. We have a coordinated Ken and Barbie in attendance here. Clearly, they have defected and they are now fighting for the terrorists. It's truly a mark of the times. Yeah, not the trads, exactly. Let's take a look here at Los Angeles. Hotbed, again, a secondary hotbed of scum and villainy. Now, you can see clearly many people.
I believe they may be weaponizing the brown note as documented by genius scientists the Mythbusters.
As you can see, we can neither confirm nor deny that a brown note was being played here in LA, causing everyone to shit their pants in a horrifying act of terrorism. But it's truly America may never recover. Truly, too many pants will be shitted. Here is for those of you trying to get a gauge on the size of these protests, here's several of them compared by the No Kings crew. Got Minneapolis, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., Chicago, New York City, San Diego, Boston. Truly crazy. The level of organizing, though, like I'm going to shed the bit for a bit here. Like, a lot of people turned out today, folks. And some of the initial estimates indicate over 7 million. We won't know the true number for a bit as people take stock of various estimates of turnout. But millions more people turned out for this one than the last one. And here's San Diego, right? Look at this. The march coming down. And I just gotta say, right, like, we're seeing a lot of people turn up who don't usually turn up, okay? Like, I took a picture next to a man who was at least, like, in his late 80s, possibly early 90s. There was a retirement home right across the right across the way, and he had to use a walker. But he just had the biggest smile on his face as I posed, doing a thumbs up as a giant inflatable frog. Like, these people, these are not people who find it easy to get out there. You know, these are people who have to make time. These are people who have to put in a lot of effort to go out into the world and make these protests happen. But they're doing it because they believe it is important. Here is my my hometown here.
Afternoon. You're looking at Minneapolis, Minnesota, more than 2,600 No Kings events around the country. That'll do it for me this hour. I'm Von Hilliard here in Washington, D.C. Thanks for watching. My colleague Stephanie Rule picks up our coverage of the protests right after this break. Afternoon.
It is honestly inspiring to see so many people from so many different walks of life coming together to make a political statement in unison. I mean, like, even like, people did No Kings protests on the tops of mountains today. Look at this. Like, people climbed literal mountains and still they found a way to make a statement today. It is wild the amount of work people are putting in to turn up. And you might even think, like, okay, well, you got Alabama, you got a bunch of different places around here doing protests. What about Florida? What about, like, the hotbed of conservatism, right? Here is Palm Beach Gardens in Florida. Floridians turned out too. Okay, all of these places, by the way, where folks are like, oh, the Trump voters, they deserve what's coming. These places are turning up to protest too, because what is happening right now is that Trump's support is cratering. It is cratering, and people who might not, are not socialists. They're like average libs. They're people who don't regularly think about politics. They are or even sometimes, in some cases, conservatives turning out to protest. Here is, again, Florida. Look at this. Both sides of the road covered. Hundreds of people in small towns across this country turned out. In each, and not like in total. I mean, like, hundreds of people in every small town turned up. Okay? It's been really, really heartening to see. And I really wanted to sit down here and just engage with a couple of the questions I've been seeing. One-Eyed Heathen says, I was out with my blind cane. People came out, right? And so some people ask, like, what is the point of such a performative protest? And my response to that is, this isn't a performative protest. This isn't bullshit. This is actual political action. This is what building a mass political movement looks like. This is what it means. Like, you're seeing it happen. Yeah, Dragonfly, more than 2,000 people in her conservative town. This is what it looks like to actually have the political movement that people have been waiting for a generation. This is people coming together from every walk of life, from every part of this country, in such a diffuse way that they are not organizing and like going to one protest, right? There's not just one No Kings protest. There is a No Kings protest in like every city and town, major city and town in America. People turned out in such a way that it is impossible to stop them. This administration, if it wanted to, is not capable of actually stopping people from turning out and doing this protest. It is a show of power, actual, real political power, to get this many people to coordinate in this way. It is real. It is tangible. And it is read as a, if you are a CEO and you're seeing people coordinate like this, your initial thought is, what does that mean for my labor? What does that mean? And they know what it means. It's a direct threat to their bottom line.
One of the chairs of my DSA chapter was a keynote speaker in my area. We are a purple/red leaning district.
Hell yeah, Andrew S. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Because this isn't performative politics. This is what actual real power applied and building is. Right? The last No Kings protest had, I believe, around 5 million
in San
people
Antonio.
turn out.
There was a weeb convention. When we marched past, we asked the cosplayers to march with us. A lot them did. PPL are waking up.
It's true, Simric. It's true. There, like in the protests I went to, there were no counter protesters. There were no cops. Cops didn't even go there. I didn't see a single one. It was like nonstop honking of horns. It was nonstop like support from people in the community. There were people dressed up. There were people with all kinds of signs. There were people of every single age imaginable there. NYPD itself made 0 arrests. NYPD! Were there really 0 arrests nationwide? That's crazy. From those that I've heard, from people that I have heard, like, oh, there was like a counter protest presence. It's like there was one guy showed up. There was an example that I saw on social media, and it tickled me. But it's really indicative of the overall tone of the protests. This is a lone counter protester in San Diego. Just getting followed around with a Benny Hill soundtrack. Like, it's just, these people look silly. These people look silly, like silly losers. It's incredible, right? And when we're looking at what is happening here, you are seeing like anywhere from 2 to like 3% of the country's population motivated to coordinate and take political action together. It takes time. It takes effort. It takes like physical presence, and that has a material effect. People are doing things. They're doing things. They're taking political action. That's what this is. And especially what scares people in power, right? What scares CEOs, what scares this administration is that they see this and they understand a very basic relationship. And that is that if you can coordinate millions of people in a growing movement in this way, you can coordinate them in a lot of other ways too. You can coordinate them to do boycotts. You can coordinate them to attend mass events. You can coordinate them to oppose regime action, to slow regime action, to render regime action completely ineffective. They can't, they can't stop these protests even though they want to. Even though they want to. They can't do it. And so what we're looking at here is something that is guaranteed to grow. Like, Donald Trump is not going to suddenly become more popular months from now. That's not going to happen.
Churches and dictators, politics and papers, everything crumbles sooner or later, but love, I believe in love. Elton John, believe.
Hell yeah.
Peace sign emoji. Red
Mr.
heart
Anderson.
emoji.
Mr. Anderson, it's been a great 2 years. Thank you for being a member. Can't believe it's been 2 years already. But I want you all to understand that the biggest unions in this country are coordinating to negotiate their contracts in 2028 around the same time. And these protests are going to grow. And if you have growing unrest, and if you have growing dissatisfaction with this administration, and you have this coordinated material action by unions, then you're looking at a very real threat to corporate power in this country. A threat that is poised to materialize in a way that we have never seen before in this country. Okay? Yeah, and Dragonfly is right. Like, the theory that is popular amongst the No Kings crowd is Erica Chenoweth's 3.5% rule, which is that in all of the authoritarian or attempted authoritarian power grabs that they have studied, no regime has been able to successfully institute an authoritarian rule when 3.5% of the population is activated. Not a single one. So what is going to happen here is that we are less than a year into this administration. In less than a year, some of the preliminary numbers are that 7 million people have coordinated to take action. And I mean, guys, we added 50% to the turnout of last No Kings. If that trend holds, we are going to hit, we're gonna hit that number next No Kings, and this is not sustainable for them. Understand what this is. Understand the power that has been arrayed here. Understand that the marches actually accomplish something. This is not just idle bullshitting. It's not just flattering individual egos. We are going to win. That is what this means. That is what this means, chat. And if you can leverage that power to defeat an authoritarian regime, you can leverage that power to do anything. You can leverage that power to get Medicare for all. You can leverage that power to end homelessness as a problem. You can leverage that power to feed the hungry and to clothe those who need it. You can do so much more, and that terrifies the billionaire class. It terrifies the conservative administration that every day falls farther down towards fascism. It terrifies them because this is a power that they cannot stop. And the more that they clamp down, the more people are going to radicalize and turn out to these events. Okay? Because this isn't going to be the last one. There are going to be more of these.
We had a Charlie Kirk memorial today at the same time as our protest, 3 blocks away. We outnumbered them 3-1 in Florida.
Oh my God, that is incredible news, Mix Sinister. Thank you for the $5 super chat. And I just want to remind you all that this is not a movement that can really be stopped, right? And that is by design. When you look at the organization around Indivisible
the
or
right
5051,
has pivoted to calling it pointless, lol. Yesterday, we were all radical terrorists. had a very different tune about the Tea Party protests.
Exactly, Brutus Magnuson, and thank you for the $5 super chat. And that's why I also want to really emphasize here that anyone who is saying that today was pointless, anyone who is saying that this accomplished nothing and that this is meaningless, performative nonsense, understand that they are doing the work of the regime, whether or not they call themselves like a liberal or a communist or a conservative. They are doing the work of an authoritarian regime. And what is actually happening from conservatives, at the very least, is cope. They are afraid. They want to downplay the importance of this. They want to make it a non-story. But the joke's on them, because this is going to continue to be a story. They could try tomorrow to arrest Ezra Levin, the person who is one of the co-founders of Indivisible. They could arrest him tomorrow. They could disappear him. You could never hear from him again. That would not stop this movement. That would not stop this movement. They could attempt to clamp down on protests, but they do not have the ability to do that. Even if they deployed every state's National Guard to every major city, that would not stop people from turning out in the suburbs. It would not stop people from turning out in rural areas. It would not stop people from actually gathering and protesting in this way, and it would, in fact, spur more people to do so. They are trapped. There is no victory here for them. And, there is very good reason here to hope. And that's not to say that we aren't going to have to do a lot of work, because we are going to have to do a lot of work. Those of you who have gotten involved, you're going to have to get more involved. You're going to have to do more. Those of you who missed the protest this time, do everything you can to make sure you make the next one. Those of you who have already been there and you understand kind of what your local protest situation is, get more people to come with you next time. Get family members to come with you. Get friends, get coworkers, get your sports clubs, get your chess leagues, get your D&D group to come with you next time. Join DSA, join your local Dems, because folks, we are going to win. One of the main reasons you want to have this kind of turnout and to have these protests is because they're fun as hell, number one. And number two, they give people hope. Because I've been saying this for a while now, and I hope a lot of you guys understand after today that hope is something that you have to do. Hope doesn't just spring from the ground. You have to cultivate hope. You have to work at hope. It takes action to breed hope. And so when you see millions of people come together, all of those people acting in unison, that makes hope. And we're gonna win this shit.
We had 175 people show up in my rural Wisconsin county in Van Orden's district. Way more friendly car horn honks than middle fingers. Was a sight.
I mean, in Werix, 100%. You are seeing a mass movement the likes of which I don't think I have ever seen. No, not in my lifetime. This is the kind of movement that has the potential not just to get us a new deal or a new deal, but a potential to get us something better than the New Deal ever was. We have the potential to remake our world to be a kinder and more just one for each and every one of us, where billionaire excesses are not tolerated, where you aren't having hundreds of billions of dollars wasted away on large language models that are just going to convince our children to kill themselves. We don't have to do that. It doesn't have to be this way. We don't have to be teetering on the verge of losing $1 trillion from our healthcare system. We could, in fact, just fully fund our healthcare system, make it free at point of service, instead of giving hundreds of billions of dollars to build data centers across the United States that are going to poison our water and kill the soil and destroy the surrounding communities. It doesn't have to be this way. There's a reason why every single person who organizes is excited right now. It's why every single person who does the work of organizing is going around getting very little sleep, and it's because there is hope here and we can win.
Many MAGA cultists are fuming right now, livid. I don't think they expected this. In their rage they come off as scared, for the entire MAGA movement.
Yeah, because they know how weak they are. They know how weak they are.
Michigan isn't really politically active, but we had several protests, and the one I went to had multiple blocks of people, full roads, both old and young, and zero anti-protesters.
It was genuinely crazy. I went to like not the main Minneapolis protest, but like one of the orbiting protests in the surrounding area. And I went expecting like maybe 100 people to be there. It was literally blocks upon blocks of people lining the road. And if I had to estimate, I would guess like 1,000 people. I would guess like it was 10 times what I expected. How do we carry the momentum into Monday? Herbs, excellent question. And how you do it is by getting more involved. Figure out a way to get more involved. And some of the ways you can do, if you are not aware of how to go about doing that, anonymous gifter, wow, thank you for the 25 community subs over on Twitch. That is incredibly generous of you. My God. Thank you so much. But one of the ways you make this happen is you figure out what kind of group in your area you can organize with. Okay? Who can you organize with? You got to look around, you got to find those groups. And one of the reasons I continually go back to your local Dems or your local DSA is because both those groups are available to you and do work on the ground. Okay? And so my suggestion is join our Discord. You can reach out to GamerG, and she will help you get involved with your local DSA. And she can even help you form your own branch of the DSA for your local area if there isn't a local branch already. And you can also, if you're more interested in joining your local Dems, you can reach out to Dragonfly in the Discord, and Dragonfly will help connect you with your local Dems and help get you involved in that aspect in organizing. Become a precinct officer for the Dems. They will love you for it. It's true. Like people within these political organizations, they are so hungry to give you power. They want you to have power because some of these people have been doing this work for like 20 years and they want to kind of move back away from it. They want new blood to take over. Alessandra Silva Ruiz, thank you for the $2 super chat. And true, what once was need not always be. 1000%. We can make things better. We can fix this broken world. Are we going to watch any of the speeches today? We are indeed. Let's go, folks. If you need help to get involved, we have people in our community here on the Riverboat. We have people here who are more than happy to connect you with your local organizing apparatuses and like get actually involved in making this a real thing. Okay? You can, in fact, carry forward this momentum and do the day-to-day grinding work of getting people active in your local politics. And I need to let you guys know it makes all the difference in the world. It makes all the difference in the world, especially because it will focus you on issues in your local area. And those local issues, folks, they matter so much. Your local school board, they decide like if your kids get access to like disability education or disability services, rather. They decide the curriculum. They get to decide so many different aspects of your day-to-day life for children in your community. You know, all the way from when they start school to 18. That is an enormous amount of power and responsibility. And that's just one function of your local government. And you can, by focusing on these local issues, make your neighborhoods better. Make your neighborhoods like a model for others. You can, once you are organizing in your neighborhood, you can make it a lot easier to organize in others. And like I'm here to tell you guys that like Donald Trump wants you to believe it is impossible. Hell, some establishment Dems want you to think it's impossible. But it need not be. And when you get involved, you can tell Donald Trump to go kick rocks, and you can tell establishment Dems who are saying, well, the status quo is the best it will ever be, you can tell them to kick rocks too. The only thing that prevents us from having a better world for all of us is the political will to make it so. With that being said, I think I'm going to end the segment there, because we'll go into talking about some other No Kings stuff, and I'm quite excited to talk about it. I'm happy I went. Good. Be proud of yourselves, folks. You guys did something hard today. And a lot of you folks, I know that it was your first protest. I know that it was your very first protest. And that's cool as hell. And if you are, if you enjoyed this, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And we're gonna keep on going.
Riverboat Jack is coming to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube and swishy streams. All that content is bursting the seams. Politics, gaming, and plenty more. Your sense of fashion